Discriminate as verb. To make a distinction or a judgment between things based on specific criteria. To recognize a difference or a distinction between things. The company does not discriminate against job applicants on the basis of their race, gender, or religion. It is important to discriminate between reliable sources of information and unreliable ones. The doctor was able to discriminate between the symptoms of the two different illnesses. The human ear is able to discriminate between a wide range of sounds, from the faintest whisper to the loudest explosion. The study aimed to investigate how people discriminate between different levels of noise pollution in urban areas. Coalesce as verb. To come together and unite as one. Often used to describe the merging of separate entities or parts into a single whole. To fuse or blend together. Often used to describe the combination of different elements or substances. The two companies planned to coalesce into a single, larger corporation. As the painting neared completion, the various colors began to coalesce into a beautiful, cohesive image. The crowd of protesters seemed to coalesce around a single issue: police brutality. Over time, the small, independent communities in the area began to coalesce into a larger, more organized town. The two political parties were able to coalesce around a compromise that satisfied both sides.
Equivocate as verb. To be deliberately vague or unclear in order to avoid giving a definite answer or making a commitment. To use ambiguous or unclear language in order to deceive or mislead others. The politician tried to equivocate when asked about his stance on gun control. She equivocated when asked if she had seen the missing document. The suspect equivocated when asked about his whereabouts on the night of the crime.
The defendant equivocated during her testimony, and the prosecutor accused her of lying.
The employee equivocated when asked about the missing funds. Afford as verb. It implies a sense of having the means to do or have something, to be capable of doing or providing something without causing undue burden or strain. She couldn't afford the high rent in the city and had to move to the suburbs. We can afford to take a vacation this year because we saved money. I can't afford to buy a new car right now. He can't afford to lose his job, so he's working hard to meet his deadlines. They couldn't afford the expensive medical treatment and had to settle for a cheaper alternative.
Appropriate as verb. To set apart for or assign to a particular purpose or use. To take for one's own use without permission or legal right. The company decided to appropriate funds for the new project. The government appropriated land for the construction of a new highway. She appropriated a portion of her salary for charity donations. The artist appropriated images from various sources to create a collage. The writer appropriated dialogue from real-life conversations to make the story more authentic. Elucidate as verb. To make something clear or easy to understand, especially by explaining or defining it. To throw light upon, clarify, or explain. The teacher spent extra time elucidating the complex math problem so that all the students could understand it. The scientist presented a study that elucidated the relationship between climate change and biodiversity loss. The detective asked the witness to elucidate on the details of the crime. The author included footnotes in the book to elucidate the historical context of the story. The expert was able to elucidate the technical jargon so that the layperson could understand the topic.
Lampoon as verb. To criticize or attack someone or something using satire or humor. To make fun of or mock in a humorous or satirical way. The satirical magazine regularly lampoons politicians and celebrities. The comedy sketch show lampooned popular TV shows and movies. The stand-up comedian lampooned current events and societal norms. The newspaper editorial lampooned the mayor's latest proposal. The cartoonist lampooned the corporate world in a series of witty illustrations.
Placate as verb. To calm or assuage someone's anger or anxiety by offering reassurance, concessions, or other forms of compensation. To soothe or pacify someone who is upset or angry in order to reduce or eliminate their anger or hostility. The manager tried to placate the angry customer with a refund. The mother tried to placate her crying baby with a toy. The diplomat attempted to placate the tension between the two nations with a peace agreement. The coach tried to placate his players after a tough loss. The employee tried to placate his boss with an apology. Capitulate as verb. To stop resisting or opposing and accept a situation or decision. To surrender or give in to the demands of another, especially an enemy in a war. The army was forced to capitulate after their supplies ran out. The company decided to capitulate to the demands of the striking workers. The politician refused to capitulate to pressure from the opposing party. The team captain urged his players not to capitulate in the face of a strong opponent. The government was forced to capitulate to the demands of the protesting citizens. Brook as verb. To endure or withstand something without giving in. To tolerate or put up with something. The teacher would not brook any misbehavior in her classroom, and the students knew she meant business. The company could not brook any further delays in the project, as they were already behind schedule. The coach would not brook any excuses for missing practice, and the players had to show up on time. The judge would not brook any disrespect in her courtroom, and anyone who did so was held in contempt. The homeowner could not brook any more noise from the construction site next door and filed a complaint with the city. Squelch as verb. To silence or suppress a sound, especially by damping or muffling it. To suppress or crush suddenly and forcefully. The teacher squelched the student's attempt to cheat on the exam. The coach squelched the rumors about the team's poor performance by giving a confident statement. The parent squelched the child's tantrum by distracting him with a toy. The host squelched the awkward silence at the dinner party by starting a conversation. The company squelched the negative feedback by deleting the comments from their website.
Mordant as verb. To treat a material such as fabric or paper with a substance that will fix or set dyes or pigments on it. The dye was mordanted to make it more permanent. The fabric was mordanted before dyeing. The metal plate was mordanted before etching. The paper was mordanted before printing. The artist mordanted the fabric to prepare it for dyeing. Importune as verb. To beg or implore insistently and annoyingly, to harass or trouble with persistent requests or demands. The salesman would importune potential customers until they made a purchase. The charity organization would importune donors for contributions. The job seeker would importune employers with follow-up calls and emails. The artist would importune gallery owners for a chance to exhibit their work. The journalist would importune sources for information to break a news story.
Veneer as verb. To cover or conceal the true nature or character of something with a superficial or attractive appearance. To give a thin, decorative layer to the surface of an object or material. The company tried to veneer their unethical practices with a PR campaign. His cheerful demeanor veneered his true feelings of sadness. The politicians' promises veneered their lack of action on important issues. The criminal's charm veneered their true nature as a con artist. The wealthy businessman's philanthropy veneered their history of exploitation and greed. Balk as verb, to frustrate or foil the plans or hopes of, to refuse to go along with or to do something. The horse balked at the jump, refusing to go over it. The team manager balked at the idea of letting their star player go, knowing that it would hurt the team's performance. She balked at the idea of going skydiving, despite her friend's encouragement. The company balked at the high cost of implementing the new software system. He balked at the thought of public speaking, despite being an expert on the topic.
Grovel as verb, to behave in a subservient or excessively humble manner, especially in order to seek forgiveness, favor, or mercy from someone. The politician was criticized for groveling to wealthy donors for campaign contributions. I refuse to grovel to anyone for my own success. I want to earn it on my own terms. She had to grovel on the ground to search for her lost earring. The dog would grovel and wag its tail whenever its owner returned home. He had to grovel and apologize to his boss to avoid getting fired.
Squander as verb, to spend money or other valuable assets recklessly or foolishly, to waste or use resources extravagantly or carelessly. The gambler squandered all his savings on the slot machines. The company squandered its chance to invest in a profitable market and now regrets it. The athlete squandered his lead in the race by slowing down near the finish line. The musician squandered his potential by indulging in drugs and alcohol. The government squandered taxpayers' money on a project that was never completed. Snub as verb, refuse to acknowledge or speak to someone. Reject or ignore someone or something in a rude or dismissive manner. He snubbed her by not returning her phone call. The company snubbed the proposal, rejecting it without proper consideration. She snubbed her former boss at the networking event. The team snubbed the new member, not including him in the project. The author felt snubbed by the lack of attention given to his latest book. Delineate as verb, to describe, sketch, or depict in clear, precise detail. To outline or trace the limits or boundaries of something. The map delineates the boundaries of the city. The lawyer delineated the terms of the contract to her client. The artist delineated the contours of the model's face in her sketch. The writer delineated the character's motivations in great detail. The scientist delineated the stages of the experiment in her report.
Machinate as verb, to plan or devise, especially in a complex or sinister way, to plot or scheme, often in a secretive or malicious manner. The corrupt officials were caught in the act of machinating a scheme to embezzle public funds. The CEO was accused of machinating a plan to monopolize the industry and put smaller companies out of business. The political party was accused of machinating a plot to rig the elections and remain in power. The disgruntled employees were found to be machinating a plan to sabotage the company's operations in order to seek revenge. The spy agency was suspected of machinating a plot to overthrow the foreign government and install a puppet regime.
Ready to boost your English? Meet our vocabulary app, the fun and effective way to master the language. Books learn advanced words with examples and audio. Direct hit master idioms, proverbs, and phrasal verbs. Video game enjoy quizzes, flashcards, and pronunciation tests. Glow showing Europe, Africa translate into 100+ languages, all in one app. Did you learn new words? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share my channel. Download now and start your journey to vocabulary mastery.